SLDS. So just a quick word. My name is Fabien Taillon. I'm a technical architect for CGI. I'm also running the Paris developer group with Mohamed. So that's why you might hear a little French accent. Sorry about that. So what is SLDS? So SLDS is standing for Salesforce Lightning Design System. And if you take the official definition, it's a living design system based on clarity, efficiency, consistency, and beauty. So it's lots of fancy words, but we will see what it means exactly beyond that. So the idea of the SLDS is that previously you had Salesforce Classic, and to match the look and feel of Salesforce, you needed to use Apex tag, and Salesforce will generate automatically a look and feel that will match Salesforce Classic UI. Now Salesforce has released the Lightning experience with a complete new UI, and the question is, how can I use and create new applications that match this new UI? Currently, if you create VisualForce pages with Apex tags, even if you are in a Lightning experience, it won't match the UI. You will still have the old style inside of the Lightning experience. So the solution is the Lightning design system. So here are some key points of the Lightning design system. So the first thing to know is that it's a CSS framework. What does it mean? First, it means that it's not a JS framework. So there is no JavaScript in it. So you will be able to style your component with a great look and feel, the same as a Lightning experience. But the thing is, let's say you create a tab component, you will have lots of nice tabs, like in a Lightning UI experience. But the problem is that if you click on the button, nothing will happen. So you have to write yourself the JavaScript that is coming with it. So that's where it is currently, but maybe it will change in the future. It's not really linked to the platform. So one thing you might expect, it's that currently when you create a VisualForce page, you just write Apex input field, for instance, and it will generate for you automatically the styles that are associated with it. But with Lightning experience and the SLDS, you need to import the CSS framework into a static resource, like you would do if you use Bootstrap, for example. So that means that you need to you need to take the design system from the website and upload it into Salesforce. There is one great key point, is that SLDS is scoped. That means that instead of having styles like a button, it will be SLDS button. I don't know if you have already played with Bootstrap inside Salesforce, but Bootstrap have a lot of styles, and it overrides styles like a body. So if you install Bootstrap into, for example, the Salesforce One web app, it will break some stuff from the Salesforce UI. So it's not really great. SLDS is really scoped. That means that you will put it inside your application and it won't break anything. So something I learned when I tried SLDS for the first time, it's about ARIA tags. So I didn't know what it was. It's that everything is built so that it will be compatible for every accessibility tool. So, for example, if we create a tab component, well, it's just div and technical HTML, but all the accessibility tool doesn't know that this div is supposed to be a tab. So ARIA is built on the SLDS, so you have some role, like a role equal tab, which means that if you have an accessibility tool on your browser, it will be able to display to the user what your page is supposed to be. So it will tell, here is a tab, here is a section, etc. One nice thing also is that there are lots of icons coming with the SLDS. It's not picture, not like, I don't know. Currently, when you want to use a picture from the tabs of Salesforce, you have PNG images. So that's nice, that's easy to reference. The thing is that if you want to display it at a different size, well, the PNG has only one size. It's not maybe beautiful if you want to display it bigger. Here is HVG. That means that it's not a picture, but it's something that is generated by the browser, which means that you can display it. You can display an icon really small or really big. It will be displayed beautifully each time. So that's a really great thing. So that's nice when you want to build a page or an application that will be displayed maybe on a tablet, maybe on a phone, maybe on the desktop. And there is a lot of documentation. So this is really, really great. So this is an example I've seen at Dreamforce. I stole it because I thought it was really a really great one. When you are using CSS frameworks, sometimes you will see that there are some classes that are really technical. Well, you look at the code and you don't really understand what it means. Here, what the SLDS team did, it's they prefer to have maybe a long class name, but when you look at it, you immediately know what it means. So here there is an example with a house. So they use something that is called BEM, block element modifier. So the first part of the class is like a house, it's a block. The second part is the element or the component, so let's say a door. Door is an element of the house. And the last part, which is the modifier, is how should I apply something to this element. So here it's red. So you see you have the three parts, house, door, white, which is block element modifier. And if I took an example, a real example from the SLDS, here you have SLDS button, icon, small. So I know that I will display a small icon on my SLDS button. So I don't even need to go to the documentation if I look at the code, I can immediately know what the class is applying to the element. It's living, so that's really important. So it's both a good thing and a bad thing. It's a good thing because you will have more and more release, more and more feature, and things will be improved over time. But that also means that as it's a static resource, if you take SLDS today and insert it inside Salesforce, maybe in 2 months you will need to take the new version, upload it as a new static resource, and maybe see if there is no impact on your development. It's not as we are used today with VisualForce, where, well, you just write Apex input field and it's always working. You don't really care about the release. You know it will work. Fortunately, so there are two things. First, you can see that on each component on the documentation, there is a status. So you can see that the card component is stable, whereas the sales pass is still in prototype. So that means that you can use it. There is a code that is displayed, but maybe in the future it will change. And in every release node, they will display a list of breaking change. So there is not a lot. So I don't think you have a lot to worry. But you need to know it's not as easy currently as it is with Apex tag and VisualForce. So another great thing is that SLDS is not only components. It's not just sales pass, button, cards, tabs. It's a lot of other things. So, well, you have colors that you can use almost everywhere. You have guidelines. They are explaining you how you are supposed to create your layouts to be consistent with the Lightning Experience UI. There are lots of loading spinners. There is a lot of things other than just components. And also a lot of utility tools. So if you want to display a small font or big font, you don't really have to write yourself the size of the font. You will just use the utility classes of the SLDS. So you will be sure to have a consistent UI all over your application and your component. There are lots of other things like iOS resources. You can have a look to the website. There is lots of information on it. So how to use it? So that's nice. If you go to the website, I took an example, which is the card component. This one is pretty easy and small. That's why I choose it. So on the website, you will see some information. So the status. Here, this one is stable, so I know I can use it without fearing anything. First part is the component render. So you know what you are using. You see it will look like this. And the second part is the code itself. So currently, when we are creating VisualForce pages, we are just writing one line of code. and the Apex tag is generating all the CSS and div and HTML code for you. Currently with SLDS, you will take this code, copy paste it inside your VisualForce page or Lightning components or whatever to generate the component that is displayed at the top. So let's have a deeper look. So first part, let's say you want to use this card component inside the VisualForce. How are you doing it? So first thing is you go to the Lightning Design System website, so lightningdesignsystem.com. You download it, put it inside Salesforce as a static resource, and then you need to create your VisualForce page with one important thing is in your Apex tag, Apex page tag, you need to remove all the markup that Salesforce generates usually. So you remove the body, you remove the sidebar, header, etc. to be sure that there is nothing on the standard style sheet from Salesforce, to be sure that you will start from a fresh and empty page. And the second thing is to add the SLDS static resource. So just a quick look at the code, don't be afraid. It's pretty simple. So this VisualForce page will display the same component as we saw earlier inside the design system documentation. So what should we see here? First thing is we removed all the HTML markup from the VisualForce. Second thing, we added the style sheet of the SLDS. One important thing is that as SLDS is scoped, you need to embed your component inside a div which has the class SLDS. If you do all the same thing with a static resource, but not inside the div with the SLDS classes, you will have a page that is just with text but no styles at all. And the last part, it's the component in itself. So here, I just copy-pasted what was in the documentation. So this is for VisualForce. So what if you want to use it inside Lightning components? Well, that's not really more complicated. You are using also Lightning require to insert your static resource. It's not exactly the same tag, but the idea is the same. You just need to import the CSS framework. One thing to note currently is that the SVG, so for the icon, is not fully supported in Lightning components. So you need to create a little specific component for it. It's a detail on the documentation site, but I guess it will be fixed in one of the future releases. And the good thing is that it's really easy to create SLDS components inside Lightning components that you can reuse easily later. So if we look at the code, so the first part is the Aura component, and the second is the application that is calling this component. So you will see that the first part of the component is almost just copy-pasted from the documentation too. On my application, I am calling, inserting my CSS framework from the design system. And the nice thing with Lightning components is that I can, as its components, if I want to display 4 times the same card header, I just have to write 4 lines and call 4 times my components. And even better, I didn't do it here, but if I want, you can see in the component that you have some information like card header, related contact, and add contact, which is the labels of the text in the component itself. You can create attributes and put them inside as parameter of the component if you want, so that you create the component only one time, and then you can reuse it. Easily later. So that's really interesting to do this with Lightning components. Yeah. Here, yes. Actually, what I mean is that if I go back to the VisualForce, you see that I copy-pasted all the code from the SLDS here. Let's say I want to reuse it more than one time. Well, I should copy-paste it 4 times here. So you see that if I have one page with 10 card components, it will fastly be unreadable. Because I don't really want to see it. I just want to copy-paste it one time. That's all. What I'm really interested in is I want to see that I'm calling a card component. So what I mean is that if I create one Lightning component, so which is this one, the first one here, the nice thing is that I will write it once. Maybe I will create a better one so that all these labels are parameters. But after that, I will never touch it again. I will, like I call Apex input field, I will call LC card component. So maybe there is a little work at the beginning to create your components, where you will import SLDS. But after that, you will just call your own component, and it will be really easier to understand when you see this. You see immediately there are 4 components card. Okay, just a slide to say that SLDS, so the bad part is you have to take it from the website and import it as a static resource. So that's not really integrated in the platform currently. The good thing, on the other hand, is that it can be used on any other website. It's not really linked to Salesforce anymore. If you want to use it on your PHP application, on any Heroku application or whatever, you can use exactly the same styles as in Salesforce, but outside of the platform. So I just put a link in here, which is from one of the developer evangelists from Salesforce, which is really great. So you see on the picture, this looks like Lightning Experience, but it's not Salesforce at all. It's a website on Heroku. So they just took the design system, put it on Heroku platform, and you can use it wherever you want if it's a web application, and you can create applications that are styled like a Lightning Experience. So if you go to the links, you will see it's explained step by step how to create that. So I explained what was SLDS, so a CSS framework. You can use it on all your applications, Salesforce or not. But what it's not, so it's not a JavaScript framework. So we've seen that for a card component, it's okay because there is just text. It's not a lot of things to generate behind that, behind the look and feel. But for example, tabs components, when you click on a tab, you expect that the tab is just switching. You click on the second, you want the second to appear. This is not a part of the SLDS currently. Say that SLDS is an official tool from Salesforce, even if it's not on the platform. The other one that you are talking about is from force.com lab, which means it's like there is no support about it. So you can use it. You can use component with JavaScript is provided, but it's, let's say, given freely, so there is no support about it. If it's not working, you have to delete yourself. So, well, know that if you are using SLDS directly, you might have to write a little bit of JavaScript behind that to make it work. So it's not integrated in the platform. You have to upload it as a static resource. And yeah, and obviously you can create your own component on VisualForce pages with the Lightning Experience look and feel, but that won't change anything on the Lightning standard page themselves. So if you want to customize something on your tab, like the color or whatever, it will impact only your own custom pages and component and not Salesforce UI. So one thing that is great is that it's built on CSS with tokens. That means that when Salesforce is using some colors, the colors is not hard-coded on all the components using it. You have one token somewhere saying that the color, let's say this blue color, has one token, and if you want to change it, you can, let's say you want to customize the application with your own look and feel and colors. You will take the design token, which is here, change the background color, which is in the token. You need to compile it with Sass, so you need to compile. You take the token, you compile it, and it will become a CSS. And behind that, inside the design system, the color will be changed, but not only in one place. So if you want to change the background color, which is a sort of light blue, you change it to, let's say, red, not directly in the CSS of the design system, but from the token, which is the source code, let's say. You compile it, and it will change in all the components that are using it. So it's a really cleaner way to have a consistent component. So here is an example where I change a few colors, recompile the CSS, and my card component has just some branded color. So here are a few links. So the first one is the design system website itself. Second, there is a really nice trailhead about it. The third one, so it's the one with SLDS on Heroku. Fourth, I wrote a blog post about how to add JavaScript on the tab components. And the last one is the link you were talking about the force.com lab with added JavaScript on it. So here we are. If you have some question about it, you have 5 more minutes. 4. Yes. If you have already existing VisualForce pages with Apex tags, you can't really style the existing Apex tag. You need to use standard HTML tags like input and not Apex tags. Otherwise, when you use Apex tags, it's compiled on server side by Salesforce, and Salesforce generates the HTML and CSS itself. So you can't really touch it. So if you want to have a VisualForce page with the new Lightning Experience UI, you need to rewrite some stuff to recreate, not use Apex tag, but use HTML and CSS tags. Yes, you can. Yeah, you can use. Yes, that's what you will use. Yes. Very much. Thank you for attending.